It's one of the most frustrating feelings in life. Doing everything right, working hard, staying consistent, thinking positively, and still getting nowhere. You watch others succeed with what seems like less effort, while your path feels like walking through quicksand. But what if the problem isn't your work ethic or your goals? What if the real issue lies in something invisible, something deeper than action, planning, or desire? According to Owen Hermstring, that something is your dominant, energetic alignment. In his book, The Law Behind the Laws, Hermstring opens with a provocative line. Reality is loyal only to the frequency you inhabit, not the words you speak. This statement flips everything most of us believe about effort, mindset, and manifestation. It suggests that the universe is not responding to your conscious wants. It's responding to the energetic code you broadcast every second, whether you're aware of it or not. So, what does it mean to be aligned with the wrong frequency? Imagine tuning your radio to a jazz station, but expecting to hear rock music. You can scream, complain, and demand change, but as long as you're on the wrong frequency, all you'll get is jazz. In the same way, many people are aligned with frequencies of fear, unworthiness, scarcity, and doubt, yet they're trying to attract abundance, love, or freedom. The mismatch doesn't just delay results, it cancels them. This is not about positive thinking or repeating affirmations. Hermstring makes it clear, you can declare light all day long, but if your field still hums with the signature of pain, you will magnetize more shadows. In other words, your efforts are filtered through the frequency you actually believe in, not the one you wish for. If you've been programmed to believe success is unsafe, or that you're not enough, or that money comes with guilt, your subconscious frequency will project those beliefs into the field, and the universe will respond accordingly. Let's go deeper. Frequency isn't about emotions that pass. It's about the emotional home you return to repeatedly. Do you default to worry even after visualizing abundance? Do you celebrate your desires but secretly prepare for disappointment? That split creates an energetic conflict, and energy always wins over effort. That's why you can feel like you're doing everything right and still attract chaos, stagnation, or repeated failure. You're not failing. You're just tuned into a field that's not designed to carry what you're trying to create. One of the most overlooked aspects Hermstring highlights is the role of identity and frequency. You can't out-manifest the identity you've attached to yourself. If, deep down, you believe you are the one who always struggles, who gets left behind, who isn't chosen, your frequency anchors to that identity and life mirrors it. Changing your life requires more than changing your schedule. It requires changing your energetic identity. Who are you being beneath the performance? So how do you shift this alignment? Hermstring emphasizes awareness as the first step, not just surface-level awareness, but radical energetic honesty. You must sit in silence and feel what your field is broadcasting without your mind's story. Is it grief, fear, bitterness, jealousy? Until you feel it without denying it, you can't release it. And until you release it, you remain tuned to it. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not behind. You are simply resonating with a field that no longer matches the life you want. That is the core truth Owen Hermstring wants every reader to understand. Frequency is not fixed, it's chosen. Every day, through your attention, intention, and willingness to shift the story. One of the biggest misconceptions in the world of manifestation, success, and self-development is the overemphasis on intention. We are taught that if you want something badly enough, if you set a strong intention, the universe will respond. But as Owen Hermstring reveals in The Law Behind the Laws, intention is only the spark, not the engine. What truly governs your results is the dominant vibration you hold beneath that intention. Hermstring explains this distinction with a powerful analogy. Intention is like typing a message on your phone, but if your signal is weak or corrupted, the message will never reach its destination, or worse, it will be misunderstood. In this view, intention is conscious and deliberate, but vibration is subconscious and persistent. It's the tone you carry when you're not thinking about it. And that tone determines the message life receives from you. So what exactly is dominant vibration? It's the emotional and energetic frequency you return to most often. Not the burst of hope you feel during a morning meditation, but the anxiety that creeps in at night. Not the confidence you project at work, but the self-doubt you feel when you're alone. It's the invisible baseline humming beneath your thoughts, words, and actions, and it overpowers anything temporary or forced. Hermstring writes, "The universe is not impressed by declarations. It is calibrated to resonance. You don't get what you beg for. You get what your field echoes most consistently." This is why so many people feel betrayed by the idea of manifestation. They ask, "I set clear goals. I worked on my mindset. Why am I still stuck?" The answer lies in the dominance of their vibration, not the clarity of their intentions. Let's break this down even further. Imagine someone who intends to attract a healthy relationship. They say all the right things, make vision boards, repeat affirmations. But their dominant vibration is one of abandonment, fear, and distrust, shaped by years of emotional wounds. That unhealed frequency becomes their true message to the universe. The result? They attract partners who validate that fear, not the vision they consciously desire. Hermstring emphasizes that your dominant vibration is not just emotional, it's structural. It is the energetic architecture built from your childhood beliefs, cultural programming, repeated traumas, and internalized shame. Unless this structure is examined and rewritten, it will continue to override your best intentions. So, how do you shift your dominant vibration? Hermstring proposes a process he calls vibrational recalibration. It involves 3 stages: exposure, bringing full awareness to the emotion or belief that dominates your field, naming it, feeling it, owning it; extraction, identifying where that vibration was learned. Was it from a parent's scarcity, a heartbreak, a teacher's ridicule? Locating the origin helps loosen its grip. Encoding, replacing the dominant pattern with a new emotional signature, not through logic, but through repetition and embodiment. This is done by practicing elevated states like gratitude, presence, and worthiness until they become your new default. Hermstring warns, you cannot think your way into a new vibration. You must feel your way into it and stay long enough for the field to shift. That's the hard truth most people resist. They want fast results, surface changes, clever hacks. But frequency doesn't lie. If your dominant vibration still reflects fear or lack, the universe responds with more of the same. This is why success often feels random or unfair, because most people have no idea what their dominant vibration is and how it sabotages their desires behind the scenes. Intention might open a door, but only vibration determines if you get to walk through it. So if your life feels like a cycle of trying and failing, the issue isn't effort, it's resonance. And once you begin tuning your field, not just your goals, you'll realize something profound. Life was never ignoring you, it was simply mirroring you perfectly, faithfully, and consistently. Every person walks through life carrying an emotional signature, a unique energetic fingerprint shaped by their earliest experiences, beliefs, and self-perceptions. In Owen Hermstring's teachings, this concept is more than metaphorical. He describes it as a living, transmitting frequency that informs how we interpret reality, what we expect from others, and most importantly, the choices we make every single day. According to the law behind the laws, your emotional signature is not based on what you think or even what you say. It's based on what you emotionally assume to be true. These assumptions live deep in your subconscious and override logic. They function like code embedded in your operating system, silently influencing every reaction, preference, and behavior you display in the world. Hermstring writes, "You're not choosing your life with your mind. You're choosing it with your wound." This statement is at the heart of his exploration into emotional signatures. When your emotional baseline is guilt, fear, rejection, or unworthiness, it becomes the default setting from which all your decisions are made, even when those decisions appear rational on the surface. For example, someone might turn down an incredible opportunity because deep down they feel they don't deserve it. Another might enter toxic relationships over and over again because their emotional signature is coded with abandonment, and therefore they are neurologically drawn to what feels familiar. This repetition isn't self-sabotage in the traditional sense. It's energetic loyalty to an identity that was never healed. One powerful passage from Hermstring captures this idea clearly. Every decision you make is an attempt to stay emotionally coherent. You will protect the emotion you've normalized, even if it's hurting you. This explains why success, love, freedom, and peace can feel uncomfortable to people who grew up in chaos, rejection, or fear. Their emotional signature doesn't recognize those states as safe, so even when they try to chase something better, their nervous system pulls them back to what is emotionally familiar. Hermstring also distinguishes between two types of emotional signatures: inherited and imprinted. Inherited signatures come from generational emotional patterns, like poverty consciousness, emotional neglect, or martyrdom roles passed through family lineage. You didn't create them consciously, but you absorbed them energetically. Imprinted signatures are formed from repeated emotional experiences, often in childhood, that trained your system to expect certain outcomes, like never being chosen, always having to prove your worth, or believing you are a burden. These signatures create an inner script, and no matter how much you want to change your outer life, your actions will always follow the inner story until the code is consciously rewritten. So how do you reprogram an emotional signature? Hermstring suggests that the most effective method is emotional reconditioning through exposure and replacement. You must expose yourself little by little to the emotional states you desire, joy, ease, abundance, and stay there long enough to make them familiar, even when it feels foreign. This is the inner work most people skip because it's uncomfortable. But it's also where the transformation begins. He adds, "The universe reads you by emotion, not words. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you emotionally rehearse." If your emotional rehearsal every day is one of stress, fear, or disappointment, that becomes the signature you broadcast. And the world reflects it back to you in relationships, finances, and opportunities, or lack thereof. Ultimately, understanding your emotional signature gives you back your power. You stop chasing outcomes and start healing the origin of your decisions. You begin choosing, not from fear, but from alignment. And when your emotional signature finally matches your vision, that's when life begins to respond in kind. Not with resistance, but with resonance. The past never really stays in the past. It clings to us in ways we don't recognize, like invisible dust coating our frequency, dulling our clarity and muting our power. Owen Hermstring calls this energetic residue, the leftover imprints of past experiences that continue to influence your present, even though the events themselves are long over. Unlike memories, which you can recall at will, energetic residue operates silently in your subconscious and your nervous system, shaping how you show up today without asking for your permission. Hermstring explains it this way: you are not carrying events. You are carrying vibrations. That means you don't necessarily remember every detail of being rejected, abandoned, or overlooked, but you still carry the energetic charge of those moments, and that charge becomes part of your baseline field. If you were repeatedly told that you were too much or not enough, the words may fade, but the energetic sting lingers, and it seeps into your present interactions, causing you to shrink, doubt, or overcompensate without even realizing why. Energetic residue is tricky because it disguises itself as personality. You think, "I'm just cautious," when in truth you're still carrying the residue of betrayal. You think, "I just don't trust easily," when in reality you're still broadcasting the residue of abandonment. You may even call yourself a perfectionist, when what you're actually carrying is the residue of shame from times you were criticized for failing. This residue becomes the lens through which you interpret the world. It narrows your vision, filters your choices, and most importantly, it anchors your vibration in the past, preventing you from fully inhabiting the present. One of Hermstring's most striking passages states, "Reality is not punishing you. It is simply responding to the residue you refuse to release. This is why patterns repeat. You may leave one job and find yourself in another with the same toxic dynamics. You may end one relationship only to attract the same partner in a different body. You may try to create abundance, but keep hitting walls that feel eerily familiar. It's not coincidence. It's residue. Until you clear it, the field will keep reflecting it. So how do you recognize when residue is active? Pay attention to emotional overreactions. If someone makes a small comment and you feel disproportionately hurt, that's residue being triggered. If opportunities scare you more than they should, residue is whispering that it's unsafe. If you sabotage your own progress right when things start working, that's residue reminding you of an old contract. Don't rise too high, or it will be taken from you. Breaking free requires more than suppressing the past. Hermstring insists it requires a conscious act of energetic cleaning. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened, it means dissolving the emotional charge it left behind. The tools for this vary. Somatic practices like breathwork, forgiveness rituals, embodied movement, or simply sitting with the memory until its sting loosens. The goal isn't to erase your history, but to stop leaking its frequency into your present. He writes, "You cannot build a new life on the foundation of unprocessed pain. At best, it will wobble. At worst, it will collapse." This is why so many people find their efforts short-lived. They build vision boards, affirmations, even businesses, but the residue beneath their actions eventually pulls everything back into the old vibration. The present collapses under the weight of the past. Releasing residue is not about weakness, it's about reclamation. When you let go of the energetic imprint, you reclaim the space it was occupying in your field. That space becomes available for alignment, clarity, and creation. And because the universe is always mirroring your field, clearing residue means sending a new signal, one that finally matches the reality you want to step into. The most liberating truth Hermstring offers is this: residue is not permanent. It only lives as long as you keep rehearsing it emotionally. The moment you choose presence over past, alignment over memory, clarity over repetition, you begin to dissolve it. And with that dissolution comes freedom. For the first time, your present can truly be yours, unfiltered and unblocked. There's a painful truth that many hardworking people face, but few dare to admit out loud. Effort doesn't always lead to results. You can put in the hours, follow all the steps, stay disciplined and consistent, yet life doesn't move. The needle remains stuck. No matter how hard you push, something pushes back harder. And this is where Owen Hermstring introduces what he calls the false effort trap. It's a cycle of energetic misalignment, disguised as ambition, and it's one of the most common reasons people burn out without breakthrough. In his words, you are not failing because you're not trying. You're failing because your energy is not in agreement with your effort. This sentence alone dismantles so many common myths about success. We're told that hard work is the answer to everything. But Hermstring challenges this deeply held belief by asking a radical question. Are you working hard in a field that your energy rejects? Let's explore what that means. Every action we take emits a frequency, but not all actions are aligned with our inner truth. You can work 12 hours a day in a job that pays the bills, but crushes your spirit. You can chase a relationship that looks right on paper, but drains your joy. You can build a life that others admire while feeling completely empty inside. All of this is effort, but it's false effort. It's misdirected, disconnected from your authentic field, and thus, it creates energetic resistance. Hermstring compares this to rowing upstream. The more you paddle, the more tired you get. But you're not getting anywhere because you're going against the natural flow of your own design. This is why people often describe their lives as exhausting or stagnant. It's not laziness or bad luck. It's friction caused by effort inside the wrong field. One of the most powerful metaphors he offers is this: energy is the soil, effort is the seed. If the soil rejects the seed, nothing grows. You can plant goals, dreams, strategies, but if the energetic field beneath them is hostile, barren, or simply misaligned, those efforts will not root. You'll keep watering a ground that never blooms, and eventually, you'll blame yourself. This is where the deeper damage happens. You internalize the lack of progress as a reflection of your worth. You start thinking you're not enough. You question your intelligence, your value, your potential, when in fact, what's truly happening is that you're running an outdated energetic program. One that says success requires struggle, or worse, you must earn your right to rest through exhaustion. These beliefs form the backbone of the false effort trap. Breaking free means shifting from hustle to harmony. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what matches your true energetic design. Hermstring advises readers to ask a confronting question: what would I stop doing if I knew my value was not attached to my effort? The answers are often uncomfortable because they reveal how much of your life has been built on external validation and inherited definitions of success. But this question is also liberating. It invites you to examine where your energy flows naturally, what lights you up, what feels easeful rather than forced, what gives you peace instead of pressure. When you start aligning your effort with your energetic truth, momentum begins to return. Opportunities feel lighter. Results appear with less resistance. You move with the current, not against it. And that's the key. Alignment replaces grind. Not because life becomes magically easy, but because your field becomes congruent. Your actions and your energy start speaking the same language. And that harmony sends a new message to the universe. One that says, I trust my inner truth more than I trust the noise around me. Hermstring concludes this section with a line that reads like both a warning and a blessing. If you continue to work hard in the wrong field, the field will eventually reject you. But if you surrender to alignment, the field will open before you. It's not about quitting effort. It's about liberating effort from the prison of misalignment. Only then does your energy become fertile ground for real transformation. Have you ever desperately wanted something? Success, love, health, freedom, and done all the right things to get it, only to feel like it keeps slipping further away? This isn't bad luck or lack of preparation. According to Owen Hermstring, the root cause is a hidden polarity operating within you, energetic duality. Energetic duality is when your conscious desire is directly opposed by a subconscious doubt. It's like stepping on the gas while simultaneously pressing the brake. You're creating movement, but also resistance. And what most people don't realize is that the universe responds not only to what you say you want, but to what you energetically believe about having it. Hermstring writes, every desire has an echo. If the echo is fear, lack, or doubt, then the desire is blocked before it begins. This is not just philosophy, it's energy mechanics. You can want financial abundance, but if your inner field carries stories like, money is dangerous, rich people are greedy, or I'll lose myself if I succeed, then those unspoken echoes override your desire. They create friction in the field, and friction cancels flow. This is why some people stay stuck for years, even while working hard, visualizing, meditating, or doing affirmations. Their field is split. The surface wants one thing, but the root system is feeding another. This internal conflict leaks out into their choices, their posture, their language, and most of all, their frequency. And the universe always mirrors frequency. Hermstring explains this phenomenon through a metaphor of a radio signal. You can't broadcast on two frequencies at once, he says. If your signal is mixed, your reception will be static. Wanting and doubting operate like two competing stations. And static is what you receive when both are playing simultaneously. That's why you feel stuck, confused, drained, like something is always off, even when you can't name it. This energetic contradiction also explains why you may attract brief glimpses of what you want, like a sudden opportunity, a new relationship, a surprising breakthrough, but they vanish just as quickly. The moment the doubt regains dominance, the manifestation collapses. It's not that life is cruel, it's that your signal was never stable enough to sustain what you asked for. To break this pattern, Hermstring urges us to go beyond willpower and enter the realm of energy awareness. This means pausing every time you make a declaration of desire and asking, what part of me doesn't believe this is possible? The answer may come from childhood wounds, cultural programming, or past disappointments. Wherever it comes from, it must be acknowledged, not suppressed. Because unacknowledged energy becomes silent sabotage. He also introduces a subtle but powerful shift. Instead of saying, I want this, say, I'm ready to receive this without contradiction. This bypasses the language of longing, which is often soaked in lack, and enters the space of congruence. You're no longer begging, you are aligning. Another practice he recommends is what he calls neutral alignment. This means holding your desire without gripping it, wanting it without needing it, trusting it without over-controlling it. When your field becomes neutral, Hermstring writes, the universe has room to deliver. This is because neutrality is not apathy. It is pure receptivity. It is wanting without resistance, faith without force. One of the most beautiful insights he offers in this chapter is this: your energy doesn't lie, and it doesn't rush. If you stay aligned, what's meant for you becomes inevitable. The duality ends the moment your desire and your belief walk hand in hand. When your want no longer carries a hidden but, the gate opens, and the effort that once felt uphill becomes a current that carries you. Energetic duality is subtle, silent, and stubborn, but it is not unbreakable. It dissolves the moment you stop speaking in two voices, and that clarity is the ultimate invitation for life to finally meet you halfway. If everything in your life is created from your field, your energetic blueprint, then there's only one path forward when you feel stuck, drained, or endlessly repeating the same patterns. Reprogram the field. And as Owen Hermstring makes clear, this is not about changing your mindset for a few hours or forcing yourself to think positively. It's about rewriting the silent script that your energy broadcasts into the world 24 hours a day. He writes, "Your field speaks before you do. It tells life what to deliver based on the agreements you've accepted as truth. This means your results don't come from what you hope for, they come from what your field expects. Your energy is constantly affirming outcomes, even if your words say otherwise." So how do you reprogram that field? Hermstring lays out a layered process. It starts not with action, but with awareness. You have to stop pretending that your life is the result of random chance or unfair circumstances. Instead, you begin observing it as a mirror, one that reflects your current energetic programming without distortion. If you keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners, inconsistent clients, or toxic workplaces, it's not because you're broken, it's because something in your field still believes, "I must prove I'm worthy," or "I'm safest when unseen," or "love only comes with struggle." These beliefs are the hidden settings. You can change the software, but not if you deny it's running in the background. Hermstring advises a daily practice he calls field check-ins. These are quiet, 10-minute moments where you tune in, not to your thoughts, but to the feeling of your energy. Ask yourself, what outcome am I secretly expecting today? If the answer is lack, delay, or rejection, you've found a root frequency. You can't argue it out of your system, but you can observe it, release judgment, and invite a new tone. The next phase is installing a new broadcast, not with desperation, but with congruent intent. Hermstring writes, "Speak into the field like you would speak into a room where God is listening, because it is." This is a poetic way of saying your words, emotions, and visualizations must match your true desired identity, not your old story. If you want to become someone who effortlessly receives love, stop anchoring your inner language in abandonment. If you want financial expansion, stop reinforcing patterns of guilt every time money shows up. What you celebrate expands. What you fear contracts. But reprogramming your field is not about affirming blindly. It's about repetition with emotional anchoring. Hermstring suggests combining visualization with specific felt sense language. Instead of saying, "I am rich," say, "I am calm and certain in the presence of overflow." Instead of saying, "I am loved," say, "I move through life as someone who knows they are chosen." These phrases don't beg for change. They speak as if the change has already occurred. That's the energetic key. One of the most powerful tools he introduces is the concept of field identity. He writes, "You don't get what you want, you get what you are." So stop trying to manifest outcomes. Start becoming the type of person for whom that outcome is natural. If success feels far away, ask, what beliefs, habits, and energetic tones would a successful version of me hold? Then embody them, not later, but now. The field cannot ignore embodiment. And finally, Hermstring reminds us, you are not fixing your field, you are remembering who you were before you were programmed to forget. Reprogramming is not a hustle, it's a homecoming. It's shedding layers of noise and getting back to the original frequency you were born with. Clarity, creativity, confidence. You may have been programmed to fail, but you were never created to live in that program forever. The contract is only binding if you keep signing it with your energy. The moment you become aware and speak differently, feel differently, the field must shift. It has no choice, because the field doesn't care about your past. It only responds to what you are now. And that's your only exit, to speak, feel, and embody a new outcome until your life begins to echo it back.